Can this wildflower right here help with both depression and the symptoms of menopause? We're going to look at the research. Hey everybody, Chad Cruiser here with Health and Homestead. I was walking around my property and I saw these beautiful yellow flowers, and on closer inspection it turned out that they were something called St. John's wort. Now in the Latin they're called Hypericum perforatum. Now you say, who cares? Why do you waste our time with this? Because specifically when it comes to this plant, St. John's wort, this second word, perforatum, it sounds like the word perforated. And this plant, one of the ways that you can actually tell that this is St. John's wort is by looking at the leaves, and if you hold them up to the sun or to the sky, not to the sun, don't stare at the sun, but if you hold them up to the sky, you can see these little perforations or these little light spots of shining through. You can see it right there. And this gives you the insight that this is Hypericum perforatum. So this is one of the defining characteristics, and also obviously these beautiful yellow flowers. And they slowly turn brown like many flowers do. But can this plant actually be beneficial to your health in various different ways? Now, some time ago, it was reported by the Mayo Clinic on research that was conducted mixing both this plant, the St. John's wort, mixing it with something called black cohosh, and this was specifically for women with menopause, some of the symptoms. And they discovered that the two together seem to have a beneficial impact on menopause symptoms, specifically things like hot flashes. And they found that the two worked better together rather than simply using this plant alone. So rather than just using St. John's wort, it is better in that situation to actually mix the two together. And obviously that's not something I am personally worried about, but for you who that might be something you're dealing with, that's something to really consider. And we're going to talk a little bit about the dangers of using them with other drugs. If you're using, these are not drugs, these are natural remedies given to us by our Creator, but with drugs they can actually be dangerous. We're going to get to that toward the end of this video. But here's the thing. So as I saw these, I knew some of the benefits already. I knew what the research was, so I went and I decided I would start to go around and I would clip some of these. And the great thing is if you find it, and these things grow all over the place, and so if you find that, man, I was up way north in my brother-in-law, he graduated from college, got his master's degree this year, and they wanted to go on vacation, so we went out and we were camping in what's called the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and it was all over the place on the side of the road. You would have these plants, so they grow on the side of the road in open areas. I don't know that I've ever seen actually under the canopy of the trees, but typically in open areas you can find these. And once again, it's very simple to figure out which plant they are. Now there is one look-alike plant, and I'm going to show you. It's specifically right here. This particular plant is a look-alike that actually could be dangerous. So you want to avoid this one, but you know, look into that, make sure you've got the right thing. And this is, I mean, to me it's very clear that you can see, if you look closely, a distinction between the two. But now back to our point. So there I was cutting up. I decided to go around and cut up or cut off the tops of these. If you cut off maybe the top third of the plant, they will continue to grow, and then you'll have more flowers and you're not going to destroy the whole plant. Now if it's growing in your yard and you actually want to get rid of them, I mean, then you could probably cut up as much as you want. But if you cut off the top third, we're told that the plants will not be destroyed as a result of it. Now, interesting, looking at depression and medication, looking at research, JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association. Now, by the way, this is one of the top medical journals in the United States, a very reputable journal. And what they tell us is that 37% of adult Americans are taking a medication that has depression as a side effect. And they reported that taking 3 or more meds that had depression as a side effect significantly increased the risk of depression. So once again, you're talking a third of people are taking medications that have depression as a side effect. Now, many of the drug medications have serious side effects, and one of which is depression. And the more of these medications that you take together will increase your likelihood of coming down with depression. And the trouble is also when it comes to things like this natural herb, this natural remedy, you know, the Bible tells us some beautiful things. It says that God gave herbs for the service of man. And what a beautiful thought, that He gave these things to serve us for our benefit. This is what we read in the Scriptures. But the trouble is, a lot of times if we're taking drug medication, you can't take the natural remedies that He put in nature for us. The two do not often go together well, or you should be careful before taking a supplement, or in this case, actually a plant itself, with a drug medication. It could actually be dangerous. So now, St. John's wort versus placebo. Have they actually done legitimate scientific research on it? Sure they have. Let's actually look at the research. Now, a study of 105 different people put on either placebo or 300 milligrams of St. John's wort 3 times a day. What was the result? 67% of the people taking St. John's wort ended up lowering their depression levels, while only 20-some% on the placebo group. So this is significantly better at helping depression than a placebo. And you say, well, that's good. I'm happy to know that it's actually better than placebo. But the great thing is we can go even further. Let's look into more research. So 29 different studies. This has been studied a lot. 29 different studies with over 5,000 patients have been conducted looking at the effectiveness of St. John's wort, or once again, this Hypericum extracts. Now, what did they end up finding? St. John's wort has been compared to placebo and different medications, including selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, and tetracyclic antidepressants. And it turns out that St. John's wort is as effective as the standard depression medications in research trials. Now, this is specifically found in mild to moderate depression. This is what they have found, that this simple plant that God created, and I believe actually was created for those people who may struggle with this, God looking down through the ages, He knew the future and actually gave us plants that would potentially bring a form of, lift the spirits. Now, if you think about this, now I don't know for sure if this is the reason. There are multiple reasons why it may be beneficial to people. One of the things that actually can be a side effect of it, though, is that it can actually make your skin what is called photosensitive, meaning sensitive to sunlight, so that you maybe would be more likely to become sunburned. So you want to be careful with that if you were taking it in the summer. But the good news is that many people would be maybe more likely to take it in the winter, and instead of having it, in the summertime. Many people feel better, they have seasonal affective disorder, so it might be something that people would use in the winter. And who knows, maybe it actually, since it does make your body more sensitive to light, maybe that's one of the factors that actually makes it beneficial for depression. Now, let's go even further. Now, it turns out that St. John's wort is as effective as the standard depression medication in research trials, and St. John's wort has fewer side effects than the medications. Now, the Journal of Clinical Psychopharmacology reported on St. John's wort versus PROZAC. Now, you've probably heard of PROZAC. PROZAC is a very common medication, and when you compare the two, how does a simple plant turn out head-to-head against a drug medication? Well, it turns out this was St. John's wort versus placebo in a double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled trial, and St. John's wort was significantly more effective than both PROZAC and placebo. This is fantastic news. It's good to know that a simple plant can actually be more beneficial than drug medication when it comes to things like potentially mild or moderate depression. This is absolutely fascinating that research from the journal Frontiers of Psychology found that people who, when they are depressed, take depression medication are actually significantly more likely to have relapses in depression after taking the medication. And so these are just good things to know. I'm not telling anybody not to take something, but what it is at least good to know about the research that is done on the standard drug medications that are used. Now, once again, this particular plant has interactions with several different drug medications. So if you are on any kind of medication, pharmaceutical agent, if you are even considering something like this, get in touch with your doctor. Do not just dive headlong into taking this, because it could seriously negatively impact your depression medication that you are on or various other medications. So you want to make sure to check with your doctor, especially if you're on some form of medication. So once again, we have been given these things. The good news is God has given us, literally put in nature, plants that are beneficial to our psychological well-being. For those who may be feeling down, who are having some kind of chemical imbalance, some of these things may actually help balance out the chemicals, right? And so the Bible also tells us that God is the one who heals the broken in heart and binds up their wounds. You may have trials, you may have difficulties, but there is a God who loves you, who cares for you no matter what you have done. He is willing to forgive if you come to Him. And not only that, He's given us things in nature. This is just one thing. I don't believe this cures all depression. There are other things that we can do. We'll be talking about other natural remedies that we can do that are not even plants, things that we can do with our body, our physiology, exercise, these kind of things. It's good to know that we have a Creator God who, even in the world around us, has made things in nature for our happiness. Now, if you like this video, think of subscribing to our channel. Many other videos will be coming out about homesteading, country living, natural remedies, how to grow food that will help you have enough calories in the difficult times that are ahead for planet Earth. God bless and have a wonderful day.